An often overlooked topic of economics is how it differs between genders. Male, female, transgender, and even non-binary individuals can experience drastically different economic expenses under an underlying discriminatory factor that has been labeled the pink tax. Now, I know you've heard this term before, and I know when you usually hear this term, it's immediately think about blue versus pink razors, but that's not even the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we'll mention the razor, sure, but there is so much to unpack. This is the pink tax. Manufacturers firmly entrench female consumers and their gender-normative sales practices with the use of bright pink or purple packaging and sweet scents of peony, vanilla, and even fruity bubble in paradise to make sure women know the product is just for them. So yeah, the pink tax is not actually a tax. It's not as if sales tax is higher for women, but instead refers to the higher cost for female products. Here are some examples. The average cost of dress pants for men, $71.71. For women, $75.66. Then you have the shirts at $51 for men and $58 for women. Oh, there are so many more products with very similar results. Razors, razor cartridges, shampoos, conditioners, body washes, adult diapers, canes, art supplies, please explain to me how that one works, toys, and even backpacks. But wait, I found one item that is more expensive for men. Socks. Our socks are more expensive on average. I guess that's why you see a lot of men walk around with jeans and flip-flops. It's so hard being us, I swear. But it's also not just down to the products themselves, but by whom the order came from. CBS News conducted an experiment where two members of their staff, a man and a woman, went to multiple dry cleaners in New York City with the same white cotton button-up shirt. The experiment found that more than half of the dry cleaners charged the female staff members at least twice as much to clean the shirt. Some even charged 3 times as much. I mean, maybe that's just a fluke. It couldn't possibly happen again. Well, research has found that pricing for car repairs also has its own version of the pink tax. A study by the National Bureau of Economic Research had male and female participants call mechanics to get quotes for car repairs. Callers who appeared to be well informed about the pricing were treated the same regardless of gender. However, female callers who were uninformed on pricing were quoted almost $23 more on average than male callers. Okay, fine, now we'll talk about razors. Like I said before, the difference is bigger than pink and blue. Because if that were the only difference, don't you think women would just buy the blue ones? No, the difference actually comes down to the mechanics of the razor themselves, as women's razors are designed for bigger surface areas and to contour around specific areas, while men's razors are mainly designed for the face. You see how the razor conversation is considerably less interesting than everything else? But then there are products that are specific for women that add a huge annual cost. Tampons cost around $7 a box, assuming they're non-organic, and over the course of a lifetime will cost the woman over $1,700. I suppose that's not a crazy amount of money for a lifetime, but the list goes on. Then you have the panty liners around $500, pads around $5,000, and menstrual cups and discs falling around $5,000 as well. This doesn't even include the cost of medication for menstrual cycles, including birth control, especially without proper insurance. Which brings us to our next point. We've talked about how hard it is on lower class families with all the other factors surrounding income inequality. Now throw this on top of it. A box of 21 tampons, which could easily be used within one menstrual period, could cost as much as $12. That's significantly more than the federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. Additionally, menstrual hygiene products sold in the US are still subject to sales tax in 32 states. A survey published last year in the Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology found that nearly 64% of low-income women in St. Louis, Missouri could not afford menstrual products, and nearly half of the women who participated in the survey were unable to afford both food and period products. Which brings us to sales tax. Currently, 36 states still apply sales tax to these necessary menstrual items. According to data from Wise Wolf's organization, Period Equity, the sales tax on these products vary and are based on the state's tax code. There's some pretty interesting exceptions in states that lack exemptions for menstrual items ranging from marshmallows in Florida to cooking wine in California, Maine their snowmobiles, and barbecue sunflower seeds in Indiana. Barbecue sunflower seeds, yep. Look, we haven't even covered how this issue affects the transgender community, and honestly, that could be a video all in itself, with binary norms intersecting with higher poverty rates of that community, mixed with the lack of personal privacy issues in places like male bathrooms where there are no tampon dispensaries or ways of disposing them. Like I said, it could be a video all in itself. But for you California residents, effective January 2020, California residents will not have to pay taxes on menstrual products until January 2022. However, after the 2 years, it will need to be reconsidered by the governor when determining the state's budget. Currently, there is no permanent law in effect. So what do you think? Do you think this issue needs to be not only a state issue, but a national issue? Remember, this isn't just linked to feminine products, but everything we've discussed about poverty and trans rights. So the real question is there anything that we missed in this discussion? Let us know. And remember, we can't be complacent and expect these types of changes to take place. This is why we vote.